Welcome back to the AB Scale Project. I'm Krager, and this is Alpha Bravo. And in this episode, we're talking Headmasters. The big two that we haven't covered for IDW More Than Meets the Eye are Nightbeat and Brainstorm, but the rest seem to follow in the same scales. They either fall with the Headmasters or the Headmaster Junior scales. Going between the Battlestars scale chart by Grifter Prime on the TFW 2005 boards, linked below, and the G1 scale chart we've been using by TechRing, the Headmasters should be Voyagers, and the Headmaster Juniors should be Deluxes. But looking at the Season 1 and Season 2 posters for Matumti, they're both Deluxes. Of course, the Decepticon Headmasters didn't feature much in the IDW comics, so we have no scale reference. So we'll be going for Voyager scale for the Decepticon Headmasters, because bigger bad guys make better threats, which make better stories. I'm not going to dip too much into the third-party figures in this episode, because most are either Masterpiece scale or Legend scale. The exceptions are Fans Project and Wei Zhang knockoff oversized Titans Return. First up, we'll look at Brainstorm. The amoral weapons maker made its debut in the 4th season of the original series and went on to be one of the stars in the Japanese Headmaster series. His latest claim to fame is being the briefcase-toting maybe traitor on the Lost Light. For the toys, we're going to also throw in the other Autobot Headmasters, Highbrow and Hardhead. Mostly because I only have one G1 Autobot Headmaster, Hardhead here. For the Fans Project Smart Robin and Browning, I've got Skull Cruncher here. For playability, we'll remove G1. For appearances, the Fans Project are a stylized aesthetic that really doesn't fit with G1 or IDW, so I'm going to go ahead and remove them. Like I've stated before, we have two different scales between the G1 and IDW for the Autobot Headmasters. Technically, the Wei Zhang should win for G1, and the Titans Return should win for Matumti. But, as an exception for Brainstorm, I like the Thrilling 30 mold well enough to keep it as my G1, even though it's an IDW aesthetic. It's a good mold, and I like some mold variation where I can get it. Next up, we'll look at the Decepticon Headmasters. I'm going to go ahead and lump in the Horrorcons for this. First up, we'll remove the G1s for playability. Like I said earlier, for G1 and IDW, the Decepticon Headmasters will be Voyagers, so I'm going to remove the Titans Return. Right now we're looking at the winners. For the Decepticons, I really like the Fans Project stylized versions. The only reason why I have a KO oversized of Weirdwolf is because I couldn't find a Fans Project at a reasonable price. Translation, I didn't pick them up on clearance. So the Fans Project wins for the Headmasters. For the Horrorcons, I like the Siege 8-face with the Titans Return head and the Earthrise Snapdragon. Next we'll look at the Headmaster Juniors. First we'll look at the Detective Nightbeat. He's mostly featured in comics and landed as Chief Investigator on the Lost Light. Our height stand-ins are Movie Hubcap for Movie Nightbeat, this Minicon for Armada Nightbeat, and Earthrise Snapdragon for G1. For recolor, I've got the Shattered Glass Nightbeat in place of the regular BotCon Nightbeat. For playability, I'm removing G1. Like I said earlier in the video, the Headmaster Juniors are Deluxes across the board. So I'm going to remove the movie versions, the Titans Return, and the Armada. So we're down to the BotCon and the Thrilling 30. For me, the winner is the T30, especially with the Beelzebub kit that I have on mine. This kit really makes it the best Matumti Nightbeat. Next up is Hosehead, Siren, and as a bonus, Minerva. Now we have Snapdragon in again to represent all the G1s, and Nightbeat is here for the T30 mold that was used for the Japanese version of Siren, Ghost Shooter. Minerva did have a recolor for the RC animated mold for a custom class at BotCon, but that's not the aesthetic we're going for. The G1 molds are out for playability and availability. Good luck finding them complete without shelling out a ton of cash. Since all we really have for a Deluxe Official is a Ghost Shooter, we'll have to go into customs to make our Headmaster Juniors. For Siren, I used a breakaway body and a Siren TR head. One tip, after you paint the body, make sure you paint the helmet section of the face so that the grays match. For Hosehead, I used an Energon Inferno Junker that I had and did a quick repaint. It didn't need to be a Headmaster from a Matumti, so this works for me. Lastly, there are Minerva parts on Shapeways to make the T30 mold into her. But I went with a Moonracer mold. I had one to spare, and I think she turned out pretty well. For the Decepticon Headmaster Juniors, I got Fangry. and some Titan Masters. That's it. That's all I've got. For official molds, G1 wins. Shocking, I know. I've seen several options for customs made. It's dealer's choice on what molds you want to use since they're all beast formers. I haven't made any, so Fangry is the only one that's on my shelves. He's also one of the few survivors from my childhood. So there we have it. The Headmasters, Horrorcons, and Juniors. I'm pretty happy with this group. I would like some updates for the Decepticon Headmaster Juniors, but that's about it. Thanks for joining us today on the AB Scale Project. Let me know in the comments below who you'd like to see next. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.